everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy and I am on a financial freedom journey with my family. I share all about that and more on this channel. And today we're going to be talking about our 2-year, so crazy to think about that, 2-year debt-free anniversary. What has changed in the last year, 2 years since we've become debt-free. I did film a video similar to this last year, which was my 1-year debt-free reflection, and I thought it would just be fun to revisit it again, talk about what has changed, and if you guys are new to my channel, kind of give you guys a background about my journey and kind of how this channel started and all of that, because you may not be familiar. I have been on YouTube for 3 years now, and so I'm assuming a lot of you guys haven't watched like my original videos where I talked about debt and stuff, so I just figured it would be fun to kind of film a reflection. If you guys see me looking down, I did take some notes on my phone just so I didn't like ramble on. I did actually go watch my 1-year reflection video also, which I thought was really fun to go watch. I haven't watched it since I filmed it a year ago, so it was kind of fun to go watch that video, and honestly a lot of my feelings are still the same, but I thought it would be fun to film kind of an extra video talking about my journey on my debt-free journey and my journey since then, because a lot of you guys have stuck around, which I know I mentioned in that 1-year video, like I thought that my channel would die off after my debt-free journey, and it hasn't, and I'm so grateful that you guys are still interested in me and my family and our journey, because our journey is not over. Debt payoff, I have learned over the last 2 years, is not like the end of your financial journey, and I kind of thought it was in the beginning. So if you guys have been around for a while, you may be familiar with my background a little bit, but if you're not, I had my second daughter in July of 2019. And I remember when I had her, we were in like an absolutely horrible financial position. I'm smiling, but it's not funny. I'm smiling because I had my daughter and it was amazing, but it was so muddied by our financial situation. We were broke. We had over $1,000. I think it was like $1,400 in minimum payments for just my student loans at the time. And we weren't making great money, and we just had another baby. We already had a son at that point. And we were just like, what are we doing? Like, I had this moment after I had my daughter, like a few weeks after she was born, and the medical bills started rolling in, and I was kind of budgeting at that point, but it was more or less like making sure that we had enough money to cover everything, if you know what I mean. It wasn't like doing a budget. It was like, you know, can I pay my water bill? And so I remember sitting down and just being like, oh my gosh, okay, we have my student loans. We have all these other bills. We have the hospital bills, and what are we going to do? Because we are so broke. And so again, I had my daughter in July, and the tail end of that year is I kind of started preparing myself for January of 2020. So I was like, all right, we are done. We are done being in debt. I am done. And a few years prior to that, I had read Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, and we did get out of some of our debt then, but we just had this gigantic mountain of student loans, and I honestly just felt so hopeless that I was like, I am done. Like, we paid off our car, we paid off the credit cards, and I was like, we can't pay off my student loans. Like, there's no way. They're way too big. I started with student loans of $132,000. So it wasn't like, you know, this little, you know, $40,000 or $20,000 loan. Like, it was $130,000. And I just felt like so defeated. And so I was preparing myself the end of 2019. I started preparing myself for 2020. I was like, 2020 is our year. We are going to get out of debt for real. We are going to like go hard on this debt. I remember setting goals for 2020 at the end of 2019, and my goal was to pay off $5,000 of principal. I will never forget it because it felt so big to me, right? Like, I was like, okay, if I could just pay off $5,000 of principal, because even with my minimum payments being like $1,400 a month, I was making such like $200 of principal was being paid every single month. So like, it was so minor. I was like, okay, if I can pay off $5,000 this year, I will be happy. So we get into 2020, January 2020, we start going hard on our debt. Like, we are paying way more. I mean, I think we hit our $5,000 principal goal in the first few months of 2020. And it was just like something clicked in me, and it was like, all right, we are done. We're done with the student loans. I don't want to see them anymore. I have kids to take care of. I have other bills that we need to take care of. And then COVID hit, obviously, 2020. So we went hard for a few months, COVID hit, and I was kind of like, okay, what do we do? So the first like few months of COVID, we actually just put that money into savings instead. And then after COVID kind of like settled down a little bit, a few months into it, we took that money and made a like giant principal payment on my private student loan. So if you guys had student loans, or I'm sure you are aware, federal student loans did not have any interest during the COVID forbearance. However, I did actually have personal loans, personal student loans. So I had to pay those off first. So those were like my first target, was paying off my private student loans. So yeah, that kind of started our journey in 2020, and I joined a bunch of like different Instagram groups and Facebook groups all about like debt payoff and all these things. I listened to Dave Ramsey's podcast every day. I was like so in it. So I actually started sharing my journey on Instagram in I think October of 2020, and then in December of 2020 I started this YouTube channel that you guys are watching right now. And I just needed more accountability because I felt myself kind of slipping into just complacency with it. Like, okay, well, we made a big dent in it. Like, let's, relax. But I didn't want to. I wanted to be debt free. So I joined Instagram and YouTube and started sharing my own journey here. And the rest is kind of history. And a lot of you guys have probably been on my channel for a while, but I started my journey on YouTube. I think when I first started my journey on YouTube, I think we had like 50 or 60,000 still in student loans, and obviously we paid that off in the end of 2021, so we became debt free on December 31st of 2021. It's been almost 2 years now. I'm filming this a little bit early, but it's been almost 2 years, and it's just crazy to think that was 2 years ago. Like, I feel like it's still so fresh in my mind that we were in debt, and it's just a crazy thing. So in the 1 year reflection video that I did, I talked about our money mindset, and I will link that video down below if you guys want to go check that out. But a lot of that is still the case. So I won't really harp too much on like our money mindset, because it's honestly pretty much the same as it was last year. And something that I said in that video was, it's so tempting to get into debt again. And I cannot even tell you guys, like, it is so tempting to get into debt. If you guys are debt free, I'm sure you can probably relate to that, but it is like so tempting to just want to go do nice things and get nice things. And like, I just feel like our society is so heavy on debt right now, especially like Afterpay and all these other like, pay as you go, like Affirm and all of those kind of things. Like, everything is on a payment plan now. And it's like every single month we have to pay my daughter's like daycare fee. And it's like $585. And my credit card every single month asks me if I want to put it on a payment plan. And I'm like, no, like, I don't want to put it on a payment plan. But it's just so crazy. Like, everything is able to be debt now. Like, it's so easy to get yourself into debt, and it's amazing to me, like, just the temptation. Like, for example, if you guys have been on my channel for a little while, we're working on remodeling our basement, and I have to tell you, it was incredibly tempting to take out a HELOC and just finance the whole thing and like pay it off. I knew, like, even going into it, I literally had this discussion with my husband, like, we could just take out a HELOC and pay it off really fast, whatever. And I'm not saying at all that is not something that you should do. Like, if that is the way that you want to go, I think it's totally fine. But I personally made a commitment to myself that I did not want to get back into debt, at least not for like many years. Like, we just got out of debt 2 years ago. I don't want to get back into debt and have to do the hustle and the debt payoff and the tracking and all of it. Like, I just want to not do that for a while. And so even that, like, I was so tempted to be like, okay, let's just go get a HELOC and finish the basement the way we want to, and put in really nice things and like do upgrades and all these things like that we easily could have done. But we didn't. So we are actually cash flowing that. If you guys have been watching my Debt Free Friday videos, we're cash flowing our basement remodel. We're doing things relatively cheaply. Like, we're not getting super expensive flooring. Like, we're not getting really nice things, but we're paying cash for it. And to me, that feels better than anything else. So yeah, it's just amazing to me, like, how my mindset has changed. And I still reflect on the feeling that I had when I was in debt, and I never want to go back to that. So that's kind of like what motivates me to stay debt free at this point. And like I said in that 1 year reflection video, I am not going to sit here and say that we're never going to be in debt again, because I can't predict the future, and I can't say that something would never come up that we would go into debt for. Like, ultimately, the health and welfare of my family is the most important thing. And if we needed to, we would 100% go into debt for something if like something happened that we needed to. But I just prefer to have it this way and not be in debt. And I think that that is totally valid too, like whatever works for you. But I have to say, like, not being in debt, it just makes everything so much more simple. Our budget is simple. We don't have to worry about payments and tracking things and just the like run around that is like being in debt. So I 100% agree with my decision to pay off debt and not get back into debt, at least anytime soon. In a recent Debt Free Friday video, I actually talked about all the things that we've been able to do since we've become debt free. And so I also wanted to talk a little bit about that, because I think it would kind of help motivate you guys if you are still in debt, just to see like what you can do with your money when you aren't making these giant minimum payments. Like, the fact that we used to have a $1,400 minimum payment to me is like so insane. And now we get to use that money to put towards things that we want, like finishing our basement. Like, it doesn't always have to be things that are financially responsible necessarily. Like, was it smarter for us to take the money that we're going to put towards our basement and invest it? Yes, of course. Like, we could have put that money towards retirement, but the flexibility that we have now that we're debt free, like, we can make those decisions to do things that we want to do, and they don't always have to make perfect financial sense. So some of the things that we've done since we've been debt free is we fully funded our emergency fund. So we are at $20,000 in our emergency fund right now, which feels amazing. This is the most money we've ever had in savings at a time that we have right now. And it just feels so good to have that like cushion and comfort in case something happened to us or one of us lost a job. Like, we have that money set aside. So we fully funded our emergency fund. We paid cash for my husband's car that we got this year. We increased our 401k contributions. Both of us increased that right after we got out of debt. So we were able to put more money into retirement through our employers. We also maxed out our Roth IRAs this year, and then I maxed mine out last year as well. So we are able to just put like a ton more towards retirement, and we are in such a better place with retirement than we were. When we were in debt, we did not stop our 401k contributions completely, but we did just do enough to get the match. And so as soon as we got out of debt, we bumped them up pretty significantly so that we could be in a better spot for retirement. So we did that, and we paid cash for vacations, and we're now finishing our basement with money that we're saving. So all of these things were made possible by the fact that we were able to get out of debt and just have that extra money to be able to put towards our future and the things that we want to have, and not have to put it in the pocket of somebody else and pay all this outrageous interest and all of that. So looking ahead to next year, which is always something that I'm doing at this time of year, is like looking ahead to the next year. And honestly, I have thought a lot about the goals that we want to set for next year. They're probably going to be really similar to this year, but one of the things that we are going to most likely be doing is increasing our emergency fund. So, you know, obviously the economy is not great right now, and job security is not great right now. And so I think we're going to put another $5,000 into our emergency fund as one of our goals next year, just to feel more comfortable with what we have saved. Like, I feel like 20,000 is a lot, but we also have 3 kids and we're a family of 5, and I just would rather have a little bit more right now. And with interest rates being really high, it's actually not that bad right now to have money in savings, because we are earning a decent amount of interest on it. So we're going to be doing that. So that's kind of one of the things that we're looking ahead to be doing next year, is increasing our emergency fund. I would highly recommend that you guys take a look at yours and make sure that it is still up to date. With inflation and everything costing so much more, like, I feel like our monthly bills have increased a significant amount these last couple of years. And so I feel like we needed to just bump it up a little bit. So that'll be one of our goals next year. I will be filming a whole goals video, so stay tuned for that. That'll be coming in the next few weeks, but that'll definitely be on our goal list. And yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about in this video. Again, I would just recommend, if you guys have debt, like, just start a journey. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be like gazelle intense. You don't have to do any of that. You can just chip away at it, like, a little at a time. Every side hustle income that you bring in, put towards your debt. Like, it doesn't have to be this big feat of like paying it all off in a year, or like, you know, not eating out ever until your debt's paid off. Like, it can be a casual journey. You can do both. Like, you can still live a successful and happy life and pay off debt at the same time. Like, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. Like, you can do both. You can be happy and still spend money on things that you love and also still pay off debt. So if you're in debt, I would highly recommend just start a journey, start somewhere, write down your debts, keep track, make a budget, and just start. That's honestly the hardest part. That was the hardest part for me, was just getting started and like dedicating myself to it. And now I can look back and reflect on it, and it's amazing to be in this spot. And I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to the person that I was in 2020. I'm so grateful for the hustle that I did and what we did for our family to put us in a better financial situation, because like postpartum mom me back then in 2019, I was so scared, and I never want anyone to have to feel like that. It was really a scary situation to be in, to not know if we were going to be able to afford medical bills or not afford food for our family and have to put it on a credit card. Like, it is not a fun situation to be in. So just make the steps that you can to put yourself in a better financial situation if you can. And yeah, that's all I have for this video. So let me know in the comments down below, where are you guys at? Are you debt free? Are you on a debt free journey? I would love to hear about it in the comments down below. And I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye guys.